Ми е интервју со лорд Стјуарт Пич, специјален претставник на Британија за Западен Балкан. Lord Pich, welcome to MIA studio.
Thank you.
Yesterday, you met with country's top officials. What did you talk about and what messages did you convey?
Well, first of all, it's very good to see you again, and it's great to be back in North Macedonia. I indeed met the Prime Minister and other officials yesterday, and we congratulate the government on their ambitious agenda. I think there's a real opportunity now for the UK and North Macedonia to become even closer. And we have expertise in infrastructure and energy, and we discuss such issues with the government. And we, of course, as a country, are also committed to our own energy transformation agenda. So these agendas we have are mutually beneficial for both strong partners.
Okay, announcement on a possible destabilization have been circulated after the elections and after the power shift in the country and the Democratic Union of Integration going in opposition. So do we claim it would act within the democratic rules of game? Prime Minister Mickoski said back in October, I think, that destabilization, their attempts of destabilization has been thwarted, having in mind the last case with Constitutional Court, session for assessment of the constitutionality and legality of the law of use of languages. Could ethnic issues be revived again, issues that were considered as closed by the Ohrid Framework Agreement? I'm asking you this question because you well know the region, the ongoing situation in the region through a lot of years before.
Well, thank you. And it is very clear that the North Macedonia and all the people in the region need to look forward to a prosperous future together, regardless of ethnic group and history. So we need to look together to a stable society for all citizens. And the UK has a strong partner for North Macedonia for over 30 years, has played a very strong role in those agreements to support them. And I think the most important message I can offer is that these are values that we share for now and the future. Whether it's the rule of law, respect for institutions, respect for each other, and human rights. And all citizens of North Macedonia believe in that, I know that. And nobody wants the opposite of stability. And we see from the illegal war in Ukraine, we see from the conflict in the Middle East, what happens when stability fails. So we, of course, I personally, we as an embassy and a team here, we strongly support stability and equal values for all citizens, regardless of ethnic group.
Okay, you're here in a period, there was a big operation connected to terrorist group, connected to ISIS. It was discovered and stopped their activities as Minister of Interior Affairs said they were planning some attacks in this country, but in the region too. So you have a long-standing experience in defense and in security issues. You were Chief of Defense Staff of British Armed Forces and Chair of NATO Military Committee. You know the region well. What is your assessment of the current security situation in the region?
Thank you. And it is important that we stand together to defend democracy. I have an emotional link to your country, to many of my friends here from my role in NATO, where I supported your accession into our alliance. It's almost 5 years ago, and I think the membership of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization for all the citizens of North Macedonia has brought that sense of shared collective security to the people. And of course, I also commend the armed forces of North Macedonia, both for their contribution to our collective security alliance, NATO, and their modernization. And I also discussed that yesterday. And so I do commend the armed forces for that journey. There's also a very interesting and important link between any armed forces and their under political control and the police actions that are necessary to keep everyone safe and secure, whether it's in the United Kingdom or any other NATO ally. I'm not here to comment on individual cases and on individual
But generally,
issues.
the stability in the region. How
But
do
the
you assess it?
stability of the region is underpinned by our shared values in NATO and is underpinned by our ability to cooperate on security issues. And security is part of this fabric for society, which keeps stability, which is the theme of what we're discussing. And stability has to be maintained with law and order. And whether it's border security or it's police actions or it's the various attempts of the state to bring and sustain law and order, that is all part of stability, which is part of people's prosperity and confidence in the future. And the most important message is that confidence in the future for all citizens.
The last interview that we were making before a year and a half, I think, we were talking about corruption. And now we are again talking about the corruption. It's an ongoing problem in the country. There was a big police operation yesterday connected to state lottery and investigation and criminal charges pressed against among the 8 persons is one former prime minister and one former deputy prime minister. Recently, United States designated former deputy prime minister Artan Grubi and one judge for significant corruption. How much do such designations speed things up in the country, since senior officials were designated before in this country, for example, but nothing changed in their everyday activities? Now we have these police operations, and does corruption that has been overlooked worsen the country's security?
Well, of course it does.
I have 2 questions in this one.
Yeah, well, of course it does. And it doesn't matter where we are in the world, corruption undermines the values that we stand for. And one of the concerning statistics here is that only 6% of the people here think that the independence of the courts is very good. So that is a concern. And we will continue, both through our embassy and our links with our friends here, to help with the rule of law, and citizens and British businesses included. We are the 2nd largest investor here in North Macedonia, and we also need to know that our businesses can work without corruption here. It is, of course, for the US government, their sovereign government, to decide on their own sanctions, but the UK will continue to support anything to tackle corruption across the region, not just here in North Macedonia, and we will take action if we deem it appropriate. It's also important, it may seem a detail, but it's important that our embassy team here in Skopje, in North Macedonia, they work with the Rule of Law project with key officials and, importantly, Academy of Judges to introduce new processes and help each other to understand the world. So we are really serious about anti-corruption as a way of bringing, again, this theme of stability and prosperity for all citizens.
Okay, the war in Ukraine has accelerated the EU integration process of Ukraine and Moldova. Albania has started the accession negotiations, but we are standing still. Do you think that Brussels will accept the request of Macedonian government for constitutional amendments with delayed effect in order to avoid another Bulgarian veto that is not connected with Copenhagen criteria, but only bilateral issues?
Well, accession to the European Union is a policy that I personally, we as a government and our embassy strongly support. And the method and the process is very much between the European Union, and the UK, as you know, is no longer a member. But it's important that we continue on the Euro-Atlantic pathway, which of course embraces the NATO alliance. And there are solutions and frameworks and agreements, both the UK, you mentioned them earlier, OCRID and PRESPA, and we support them. Now, I have been coming to your beautiful country for 25 years. So I know this is a long journey. I know people have waited a long time. I understand that. And many of my friends here have made that clear to me. And so it is about patience, and it's also about the leaders here demonstrating this European Union pathway is the right way. It is the obvious pathway because we are here in the heart of Europe. And it's important that the young people in particular feel that pathway is moving so they have a better and prosperous future. Further delays give space for others. I would mention specifically Russia. Russia continues to act in the region on disinformation. Russia has launched and continues a horrible, illegal war in the continent of Europe. It isn't that far from where we're sitting today. And so we need to be serious in our understanding of the fact that Russia continues disinformation through the media. And in my country, Russia continues to destabilize. Russia continues to undertake acts of sabotage as well as espionage. And so the alternative, the better way, the pathway, is the European Union. And we will do everything we can to support that.
What is your opinion of Trump's announcements that he can stop the war in Ukraine? You mentioned Russia in the previous question. This is ongoing war for a few years. That he can stop the Ukrainian conflict in 24 hours. And is there any chance for peace talks this winter, as recently announced by Polish PM Donald Tusk, whose country will take over the EU presidency next year?
Well, of course, there is. The UK has a very close relationship with the United States and has done for decades, and that's based on many elements of trust and indeed shared views of the world and values. And the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, British Prime Minister Starmer, has made very clear we will continue to invest in this bond with the United States. This is more than just through our NATO alliance. This is a much wider relationship. And we need to make sure that in this dangerous world that we stay close to our friends and partners. It is not for me to speculate on policies that the President may take, but there is clear need to understand the consequence, the human tragedy of this illegal war in Ukraine and the conflicts that are now in the Middle East. And I think the message is simple. We need to work with our partners, such as North Macedonia, as a NATO ally, and be ready to tackle this dangerous world. And I particularly wish to commend the former Defence Minister of North Macedonia has now taken her role as the Deputy Secretary General of NATO. And so this is a time when we should work together on collective security.
Are peace talks possible this winter?
Peace talks are always possible. And throughout history, it is often the case that it is not, as many people may believe watching this program, that generals and admirals and occasionally air marshals that start wars. And so senior military figures will always be ready to talk about peace.
What impact, according to you, would the continuation of the conflict in Ukraine have in the Western Balkans region? And what would the start of these peace talks mean for the region, like opposite situations?
Well, the defense of North Macedonia within our alliance and beyond, and the defense of the United Kingdom starts in Ukraine. President Putin has chosen to launch an illegal war. It's a serious violation of international law and the UN Charter, and that should matter to everyone. And we stand united in our alliance and through our values, and we cannot allow President Putin to succeed. UK continues to deliver aid, military aid to the Ukrainians and many other forms of diplomatic, financial and political support. And we also stand up for our values around the rule of law. So we're continuing to support a special tribunal for the crimes of aggression. The sanctions that have been imposed on Russia are important. They may not be important to the daily lives here, but they're very important to show Russia what happens if you break international law and you pursue an illegal war. So my message is simple. We have to help defend Ukraine. We have to continue to help Ukraine and make sure that Ukrainians have a bright future for themselves.
Okay, and my last question, how will the last developments in Syria reflect in the Middle East, but worldwide too?
Well, we see the connections between an illegal war in Ukraine and the consequences of it, terrible tragedies for both the Ukrainian people and also for the Russian people. We have no quarrel with the Russian people. We also now see terrible tragedies across the Middle East region, both across the region actually. The latest evolving situation is, as you say, in Syria. I think it's very early to say what is going to happen, and I would be very cautious about speculating. It's an important country right at the heart of the Middle East region. The Syrian people, again, have suffered terrible tragedy of a civil war for over a decade, and many, many, many Syrians have been displaced. And so they will all be watching very carefully and keenly what is happening in their country, and that's for them to decide. We, the UK, will continue to do our best through the United Nations to support both the humanitarian situation and, again, as a theme of this whole interview, to uphold our values. And if I have a message, it is simply that. In this dangerous world, we need to ensure stability for all North Macedonian people, whatever age and for whatever future you have. We have the same message in the UK. We're stronger together through our alliance and through our friendships. We continue to successfully work bilaterally between the United Kingdom and North Macedonia, and will continue to do so, an ever stronger partnership.
Lord Pich, thank you for this interview.
Thank you. Nice to see you.